do not make it a deep end thing. Start now. Like if you have a 6-year-old, start preparing them to leave for college right now.
And we also don't want to make unnecessary accommodations for them that are going to
make them bubble kids.
Yeah, make them bubble kids or make people see them in a different light.
How am I going to take care of myself? So like I always had a snack bin and I had like a mini fridge.
Welcome back to EpiPod. Danielle's had anaphylactic food allergies her entire life.
And Sarah is a food allergy mom to 2 kiddos.
Managing this invisible health condition can feel so isolating.
Do you also feel like you have a degree in overthinking?
If you're nodding your head like me, then you're in good company.
Let's get you off that allergy island right now with people who get it.
Ready to dive in?
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Danielle.
Today we're talking about all things college, getting ready for college, going away to college.
These are things I can't even think about yet. I mean, my boys are 6 and 4, but when it has crossed my mind, I have asked you before, like, what am I going to do when they're not under my control? Like, even in high school, yes, they have independence and whatnot, but like, they're still under my roof.
And you're still the one doing the grocery shopping. You're still the one, you know, helping them advocate with teachers, reminding them about EpiPens.
Like they go to college, they're grown, they're an adult, like they're on their own. And I just cannot fathom that as an allergy mom.
Okay, I'm just gonna like let my theater freak flag fly, but you know that part in Wicked, hopefully you've listened to Wicked.
Come on, guys.
Okay, but that part in Wicked where Glinda's parents are like crying and she's like, okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.
That was me going away to college.
Yeah.
I went to USC in downtown Los Angeles and it was Compton for sure. Like it was, you're like right off of Skid Row.
Oof.
But USC itself felt like so safe, this magical bubble. It was the best 4 years of my life. Like it was adult Disneyland. And by adult, I mean 18, which frontal lobe not developed.
Not yet.
Not adult whatsoever.
No.
At 33, I'm still like, am I an adult?
I can't even imagine like the things I did in college, like my freshman year, doing that now. Are you kidding? First of all, I wouldn't survive. I would die. Second of all, like, did I not think I had anything to lose at all with the choices I made? Come on, Sarah.
I've always been like somebody who follows rules to a T. Like I don't jaywalk. Didn't then, don't now. However, I definitely was a more, what's the word? Precarious version of myself.
Yeah.
I would always call my dad. Gosh, I hope my parents aren't listening. But if they, sorry, Dad, I'm outing you. I would call my dad and like tell him what I was going to do that night. So like somebody would know. And my dad is like, he's in his 80s now, and he still is a wild child. Like he was the wild one. And my mom was like the capital M mom, like safety monitor. And so all growing up, like he taught me to drive when I was like 11.
Oh my goodness.
And he would be like, all right, you drive back to the house by yourself. I'll drive the other car. Like, don't tell Mom. And so when I got to college, I'd be like, hey Dad, I'm going to Hollywood at this like, you know, sorority mixer. I'm going to be drinking tonight. And he was like, all right, well, have fun. Don't do anything stupid. And, if you do mess up, we're both going to be in trouble. So call me in the morning.
Oh my
and like
gosh.
that, I was always fine.
But maybe it's because he had so much confidence in you that you felt like this pull to not make the giant big mistake.
Totally.
You know, whether it be like, the drinking stuff or allergy stuff. I mean, yeah.
I would just also like to say I never blacked out in college, but you can't as an allergy person. Like that's extremely dangerous.
Oh yeah.
But like I still to this date have never tossed my cookies from alcohol. Like I've always been like a very responsible person.
Me too.
But that said, like there were like bizarro things that I would do, like getting in the car with like random football players that I would like didn't know and like go to like this random part of West Hollywood. Like I lived La Vida Loca.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to go through just like the things. I didn't do a lot of these things. But I know from food allergy adults that I'm friends with now, they did. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
And it totally is. Some of the things I just didn't have that high level of anxiety. And so I didn't feel the need to.
Right.
Things like I wouldn't worry that much if somebody was eating peanut M&Ms in my lecture hall, but I know that was an issue for some people. Or like going through Rush, there are snacks that the sororities serve. And like any sort of social situation. And I know one of the girls who went through Rush after me approached it differently than I did. I was just like, whatever. And she, like, I remember the talk that the sororities received about this person going through rush. And my friends were like, don't you have the same allergy? And I was like, I was fine. I was fine.
Yeah. But it's like that same thought, what you just said reminded me of when like older people are like, you know, we were fine back in the day. We didn't have seat belts. And it's like, yeah, but like, dude, a lot of people died. And so like now we have seat belts and it's much better. Like just because you survived doesn't mean whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you weren't like that.
No,
but like, but you know, it was that same mentality of like, well, you were fine. Why do we need to do that for this person?
Totally. And I also like, I was fine. I just didn't know that those things were available to me. So I will go through the things that are on the table, some of which I did, some of which I didn't. But before that, I really credit my parents and the way that I was raised with going away to college as an allergy person, and just like my relationship to alcohol, my relationship to like being aware of my own personal safety as like a girl in a big city for the first time in a bad neighborhood that like I'm such a sheltered person. So I really credit my parents. Thank God. I mean, I really lucked out not carrying an EpiPen my whole life until I found out the hard way, which we've talked about at length before. But the way that I was raised did benefit me to go away and it didn't ruin my life if on the way to somebody pulled out an apple and peanut butter. It was uncomfortable. I had a little bit of like, ugh. And I may speak up for myself and be like, hey, can you wait till we get out of the car to eat that? I'm actually like super allergic. Mm-hmm. But it was like I would address it and move on. I had a really good understanding of what was safe and what was not going to be safe. And I, at the time, didn't know it was life-threatening, but I did know it would be a big issue, and I did know it was scary. So I didn't want to have an issue. I didn't want to have to take a Benadryl. I didn't want to have to call my mom freaking out. So I had very good, clear lines because of the way my parents had allergens in the house. Like my parents ate trail mix and like had trail mix in our house. So it didn't freak me out when in the lecture hall, there was somebody eating peanut M&Ms, or my roommate, you know, had something at the dining hall and then like came back. Current me, I am like super overthinking. Like, did they wash their hands? Like what if a little bit of like spit like gets on my skin? Like they like, you know, as humans do sometimes, like when you talk. Like I am a different person now than I was in college, and I'm trying to make it back to closer, a safer version of who I was in college. Mm-hmm. So all to say, well, no matter what your rules for your household are, whether you're a parent with a 501 plan and 504, yeah. 501c3 is nonprofit. Yeah. Whether you're a parent with a 504 for your whole child's life, your kid is super educated on EpiPens, you have always had conversations with their teachers, all the way on the other side of the spectrum where I was, like, going away to school with your kid feeling super confident in what their boundaries are, what they feel safe with, and how to have those conversations themselves.
And how to advocate. It sounds like you were made, you know, in our previous conversations and even what you alluded to just now, that your parents really put the onus on you to take care of and advocate for yourself far before you left for college.
It was always my responsibility. I remember in elementary school, I remember going away to summer camp as a third grader, and like I'm having the conversation with the camp counselor, and not because my mom is there on like drop off day being like, okay, like her name's Sally, go have a conversation with her. So truly, like going away to college was not this deep end, sink or swim, extreme thing for me. We had spent my entire childhood learning, whether it was like summer camps, sleepovers, in the school. So like for you, when you're like, I can't even imagine that they're not going to be under my roof. Like, yes, but you're already doing things that are working your kids up to not being under your roof and knowing how to take care of themselves. Like they are reading labels in the grocery store. They are having agency over what they're having for dinner and like what is safe and isn't safe at a birthday party. They are like hearing you and seeing you practice with the EpiPen yourself. Like it really, if you're a parent listening and you have, I mean, when they're little, of course you have to take 100% of the responsibility. But if you're a parent and you're listening and you have like a fifth grader and like they have never been a part of the conversation to advocate, or they currently don't have any responsibility start that now.
Now's the time.
Yes, because for me, it was not a stressful thing to go away. I felt 100% in being able to have whatever conversation I needed to have, whether it was with the school, a teacher, a roommate, somebody in the lecture hall, didn't matter. Like, it was never a question of like, oh my God, my mom's not going to be here to, you know, like when my mom got involved at that point, it was me calling her being like, hey, like my throat's a little itchy. I'm getting kind of worried. And then she'd be like, okay, like I'll sit on the phone with you. Like, have you taken a Benadryl? At the time it was Benadryl, now it's Zyrtec.
Yeah.
Like, are you with a friend? Like, could you guys go to the health center? Like, she would be there for me from afar.
Yeah.
But do not make it a deep end thing. Start now. Like, if you have a 6-year-old, start preparing them to leave for college right now, which you already do an amazing job of.
Oh, it does feel like a lot of pressure. And I think, you know, there's probably some parents out there right now, myself a little bit included, thinking like, yeah, but like, I don't have a Danielle. My boys are boys, number one. And I'm not trying to generalize, but also like, speaking of frontal lobe, like we did in the beginning part of the episode, like boys take a little bit longer to form theirs than even girls.
I totally understand.
So between that and just, personality types, all of those things, not that I wouldn't trust them and not that I'm not doing everything in my power right now to make sure that they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But it still feels a little more nerve-wracking than I can imagine your mom being like, hey, never crosswalk, you know, jaywalk, Danielle, see you later, you know, like it feels a little bit different. But I mean, okay, so talk me through some of the things though that you did despite, like on your own, like maybe it wasn't your mom setting you up and saying, hey, make sure you do this, or talking to the counselor in the dorm room, whatever. Like, what are some of the things that you did kind of draw a line on, even if you weren't super anxious going to college, which by the way is a great thing. Like, I hope my kids aren't super anxious either.
Yeah.
But I do want them to have some hard lines in the sand where they're going to say, no, I can't do that because, you know, of this, or, hey, I need to make sure that this precaution or accommodation is made before I do this, or, you know, whatever it may be.
Totally. This like, and I think this is like a really healthy way now that I'm like my past self, like 20-year-old me is current me's goal. Like I really look up to her, and so much of the decisions or my anxieties now, I'm like, okay, like you're worried about this. Like on the outside, I'm cool as a cucumber and I'm funny and cute. And on the inside, I am having a full Chinese fire drill. So like, I find myself more and more now being like, okay, what would 20-year-old you do? Because she wasn't scared. She wasn't living out of fear. Like she was really competent. She took amazing care of herself in a safe way. So yeah, I did a lot of things to keep myself safe. And in a way that I framed it was not the way I do now, which is like everything is seen through, you know, like rose-colored glasses. It's like allergy-colored glasses.
Yes.
Back then, it was just like, how am I going to take care of myself? So like I always had a snack bin, and I had like a mini fridge that was just for me. And then my roommate had her own, but that was like pretty typical for all of the people in our dorm.
Yeah, but it's such a good tip. I mean, because sometimes maybe you wouldn't be allowed that, you know, how certain colleges or dorms have certain rules. Like that's a good idea. If your kid's older or going to college, like investigate that. If that's a rule, how can we make an accommodation to where he or she can get their own? Yeah.
Like I had my like bug safe like snack bin and my refrigerator. And then like if I came home and I couldn't eat out at the birthday dinner that night or whatever it was, like I always had safe food. And I didn't think of things like, because I'm an allergy kid, I need these special things. It's just like, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to be coming from a place of abundance. Always.
Yeah.
So that I always had that, and I would like always be take a tote bag to the cafeteria and like steal like all the fruit and like fill up on the cereal and things.
You're paying for it, trust me.
You are so paying for it.
Yeah.
Like I obviously have had a conversation with every roommate I've ever had.
Yeah.
Just like telling them like, this is the situation, and here are like here's what I need you to do. Like you cannot just like raw dog go in. Is that allowed to say? You can't raw dog go into my snacks like with your hands, because I don't know what you've touched before. Like we cannot share snacks.
Raw dog, go into my snacks with your hands. Just that like clipped out. I'm like blushing. It's so bad.
The funny thing is, like, I am such like an innocent little like Muppet that like I don't even know when to say an innuendo.
Oh man, it could go many of ways. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
See, this is like college Sarah coming out on the college episode.
Gosh.
Just like dancing on tables, talking about inappropriate things.
I still dance on tables. Like I still love an elevated surface.
Love it.
Even if it's French and nobody else is. Just kidding.
Who cares?
But not. Yeah, but like I always had the conversation as you have to with roomies, and just like giving them super clear, like, are you comfortable with this? Like, hey, I have a super severe allergy. Like, you're going to have to do some things to make sure I stay safe. It's very severe. It's life-threatening. At the time, I wouldn't say it was life-threatening because I didn't know. But just like starting off the conversation with, are you cool with that? Mm-hmm. If not, like, we can get reassigned. And I never said it like that intensely, but I was like, are you good with that? Like, are you open to that? Oh yeah, sure. Like, and then that's the part where they're like, I actually, like, 2 kids in my class were, or my little sister, or I actually am celiac. Like, they would usually relate back.
Yeah.
And then just like giving them like, here are the 4 things. And when you don't have a kitchen, like most of these dorm rooms, it should be illegal for 1 person to live in that small of a space, much less 2.
I know, right?
But just being like, no, whatever it is for you, like no peanut butter in the room, like eat it outside and just wash your hands beforehand.
Right.
For me, I didn't even have those rules. I was just like, you can have peanut butter in the room, but like wash your hands before you use it. Like, please don't even touch my food. If you have a question, ask me. Like, obviously don't use my toothbrush or my makeup, like things like that.
Yeah. And obviously everyone's different, right? Like some people, I remember before treatment, Graham, I mean, he would react on contact.
Totally.
So like eating a peanut butter and J next to him, peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
Could have, yeah. Anyway, that would be a problem.
I would react too. I just was used to it because my parents would eat trail mix in front of me. And so I was just like, I'm used to knowing that I'm probably going to need Benadryl cream at some point in the week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. See, and as a mom now, again, things are different.
Totally.
But like as a mom now, I would say that's enough to advocate for yourself to say, no, I don't want that. I mean, it's an individual decision.
It is.
But like, I would encourage him to be like, take care of yourself to a point where you're not like sacrificing your body's comfortability.
Totally.
For the sake of being like, I'm so cool. I don't need to worry about telling someone about their peanut in the room.
Funny is I genuinely didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to play it cool. I wasn't trying to be a people pleaser.
You just thought it was the way of life.
It was just normal.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel endangered. It was normal. Now, and I totally, what you just said is pure gold. I do that now. And when I go home to visit my family, hey, coming home, please take all of the trail mix, put it in Ziploc bags, get it in the garage, wipe down the surfaces, almonds only, thanks. Like because that does affect me now.
Yeah.
If I get a welt on my wrist, I'm full body fight or flight, like freaking out.
Yeah.
Wondering, did I eat something or did I touch something? Like it is different now. So I advocate for myself different, and my family doesn't act like that anymore. But at the time, like, yeah. So anyways, I personally never had a problem with a roommate. Ever. Everybody was super respectful. Everybody looked at it as if it was like the way that you make sure your roommate is in bed safe at the end of the night.
Sure.
Or you're like, hey, I'm going to bed. Like, are you still good? Like, share your location. It was just one of the like 30 checklists that us as girls had for each other. And
that's great.
It never felt like, again, like I'm the allergy kid who's going to be a damper on this person's college experience. It was just like, all right, I'm going to tell the RA on you if you're like going to puke more than 4 times because I'm worried you have alcohol poisoning. That was my experience for taking care of others, not on my end. But like, it honestly was like one of the more small things on the checklist. So it didn't feel crazy. This is something I didn't do, but you absolutely can. Contacting the disabilities department of the college campus and telling them like, here's what I'm worried about. Like work with me as a incoming freshman of like what cafeteria is going to be safe for me. Like I'm on this meal plan, but is that going to be, enough? Like, are there on-campus restaurants that I can use the like dining dollars that maybe will be safe when there's like an Asian dish that night, or just like working with the office to figure out what accommodations can be made for you. I have had some really cool conversations with other food allergy people. And even I was reading on Alyssa, who we had as a guest, her older brother also has severe food allergies, and his university had a top allergen friendly like dining hall. Like it had none of the top allergens.
That's incredible.
Spoken has
yes, we got a link to them. They have a whole like college database.
Yes, they have a whole section where if this is like if you're a Danielle now, except as an 18-year-old, like I probably would look for colleges with that as one of my filters.
Yeah. Or just like, you had nut allergies, but there are some people who have like a long list of allergies and it's not so simple. Right. I mean, not that yours was simple. Don't get me wrong. I know it was not, but like
they're managing wheat, egg, dairy, and nuts.
Correct. Yeah. Like it's a little less hard. It's a little harder to navigate normal situations. And so I think for those people in particular, I mean, your experience is going to be different from theirs, and having that option, having a university that is like so aware, oh my gosh, it would make a parent feel so much more comfortable.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. And I feel like the world's a different place. Like they're going to be super open to that.
Yeah.
In terms of like labels, now it's time to hear from one of our sponsors, Larissa's Kitchen.
Get 20% off the only certified top 9 allergen-free meat snack at larissaskitchen.com. That's LORISSAS kitchen.com. Use promo code EpiPod.
Not only are they certified top 9 allergen-free by Menu Trinfo, they use 100% grass-fed and finished beef or free-range poultry, and they're zero sugar.
Larissa is an allergy mom that knows the struggles firsthand and founded Larissa's Kitchen to enable everyone to snack fearlessly.
Use promo code EpiPod to get 20% off your first order at larissaskitchen.com. LORISSAS kitchen.com. Every label, every time. Hopefully by 18, they're already doing that.
Yeah.
But like truly things like society pressure or like friend group pressure, where like other people who they've known literally for 4 days might be like, oh, come on, like take a sit, like try it. Oh, come on. Like my mom baked these and mailed them from Pennsylvania. You're not going to try it. So just like really having lots of those conversations and getting them into a place where peer pressure doesn't affect them.
Yeah. That's tricky. That's so tricky.
It is tricky. And like, it's something that I have always been, it's like my jaywalking thing. Like I've never been affected by peer pressure.
Yeah.
But I know some people really are.
Oh, yeah. I'd say more than likely most people are.
Totally. Especially boys. You know, like,
they just want to be like cool, like no frills, bro. Like,
also because like girls were all, and especially in college, you're always thinking about like, did somebody put something in my drink?
Yeah.
So we're thinking already from a safety perspective, and we're used to saying, no, I don't want a sip of that. Allergies regardless. Boys, maybe not as much.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like the bro culture versus like girls who are always like on a diet, on an antibiotic, on a this, on a like, ew, I don't like orange, like whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so just like with labels and with like what rules that you have raised your kids with, but in the like societal frat, sorority, peer pressure, whatever group they're a part of, pressure, conversations, like figuring out something. We've talked about this before, but like, even if it's not the conversation with you, but maybe like a food allergy person who's like a couple years older, who's like a junior already in a frat, like having conversations with them.
Like, how did you navigate that? Yeah.
And then like in the back of their head, sort of like when you take driver's ed, in the back of their head, when they're getting peer pressure, be like, oh, but like Jordan's cool. And like, he didn't, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I would say something that maybe you have not been practicing in your home is alcohol. And that does have an allergy component to it. And that's something that I am really thankful. Like, alcohol was never weird in my house. My dad, he's really into wine, collecting wine, tasting wine, wine clubs. So I grew up tasting wine and really enjoying it. But just like being around alcohol, it wasn't this like forbidden no-no. And I also was not a kid in high school who was like trying to sneak out and like have, you know, a liquid lunch or something. So I don't know, by the time I got to college, I remember just being like, what are you people doing? Like, you are drinking basically nail polish remover. Like, it's so like cheap out of like a plastic handle. Like that's crazy. And like, I would bring my own little like mini Prosecco bottle. I still do this. Like when I go out on the lake, like my go-to is a is a mini La Marca Prosecco, and I screw off the top and I can screw it back on. So like, forget allergies, like nobody's slipping anything in my drink.
Right.
And like, let me tell you what, even if it's not like something nefarious that was slipped in your drink, you don't want a jungle juice that the Pledge Brothers of Phi-Psi put together. Okay. It's scary. It's gasoline.
Yeah.
Like, no.
No, thank you. Especially not now.
Things like, here's like a little guide, but definitely do your own research and talk to your kids about this. Like, there are some alcohols that do have allergens, and this is just like a very short list.
Yeah.
Amaretto is in like sours and coffee. It's almond based.
Right.
Walnut bitters are often used in old fashions. I did not know that.
Yeah. One of my favorite drinks is an old fashioned. And I would say, yeah, at least half of the ones I get like out on the town have walnut bitters.
Really?
It's a very, very common thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Egg whites are often in whiskey sours.
Oh yeah. Or just like anything with a frothy top.
Exactly.
Yep.
Anything with a foam is going to be an egg white. A beer is made from barley and is obviously not gluten-free.
Right.
So
they can also have peanut butter beers and things now.
They do. And peanut
like,
butter whiskey.
And milk stouts. Yep. There's all sorts of allergens in beer for sure.
Gin is very popular for mixed drinks. Like, especially if you're doing like a 1920s, there's always a 1920s party. But that is with juniper berries.
Yeah.
And sometimes with almonds.
Oh.
So yeah, just like really educate your kid if alcohol is something that like isn't common in your house, educating them.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look like a peanut butter sandwich, but that whiskey actually is peanut butter whiskey.
Right. And like, it kind of reminds me of the conversation about like abstinence or like, you know, telling your kid to maybe like have a condom on them as they're older. Like, I know that's kind of feels taboo and weird. Like, well, kids shouldn't be having sex. Kids shouldn't be drinking underage. But like, let's be honest with ourselves, right?
Totally.
Like, I'm not telling you to tell your 6-year-old about alcohol and condoms, but like when they're of a certain age, we have to have them be prepared for these things rather than not. And I hope I'm not offending anybody by saying these things because everyone's entitled to their own beliefs and feelings on things. But if you think your child has any risk whatsoever of wanting to try a drink outside of your home and you guys haven't been a family that has that around, like, just at least letting them know that, hey, there's a risk of allergens in your drinks, I think is very, very, very important.
Or also like a lot of cross-contamination with like mixed drinks.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of people like get to college and they don't realize like bar nuts or like peanuts at a bar might be a thing.
Or
so
even just if, one of the drinks that was made prior to yours had one of the amaretto or whatever in it, it's like that could totally get in your next drink.
Totally.
Yeah.
I stick to wine. One, it's just like, it just goes straight into the wine glass. But two, I just grew up drinking that, so I like it. Like, I was sipping on wine when I was like in elementary school. Like, maybe not even sipping it. Like, it's not very like given to me at dinner.
Like a taste. Like a lick.
My dad's party trick, when I was like little, I'm talking like before even first grade, he would like swirl the drink and like be like, okay, Danielle, like, what do you smell? And so I learned to like smell what was in wine. Like, oh, notes of tennis ball. I wouldn't say that, but like, oh, it smells like raspberries. And you'd be like, yeah. And like, maybe you smell like leather. Like, he would like taught me from a very young age.
Yeah.
So truly, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own thing. But one of the best things my dad and my mom, but especially my dad, ever did for me as a father is like ruin my palate in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I went to college being like, that's disgusting.
Right.
Like, I'll have a sparkling water. Do you have a Pellegrino? And they're like, it's a Darty. So it really kept me safe. And it, again, wasn't trial by fire, this like secretive thing. I wasn't going into the deep end. And I knew like I could talk to my parents about it. And it wasn't this like crazy thing. Like, it just wasn't. I knew exactly what amaretto was.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so definitely like having conversations about drinking habits. And this is something I never did, but like, you can advocate for yourself in class. Like, you are in these tight lecture halls. And if so, like, I remember going from high school to college, like, we were in no food high school, like in class only eating at lunch, or like if the teacher said it was okay at the end of like the work period at the end of the class. It was a whole new world getting to college and just being like, you can have a drink on the table. Like you could have a Gatorade in the middle of lecture. Like you could have a snack in the middle.
Freedom.
Yes. And like I was a film major. So we'd be in these huge, like it was like a movie theater style, but like huge auditorium, movie theater auditorium, lecture, 4-hour long class, 2-hour lecture, and then the 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
And you better believe people were eating throughout the whole thing. Cause like who's not eating as an 18-year-old, especially boys,
totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So I personally I don't recall ever being like, oh my God, I have to leave the lecture because somebody's eating a granola bar behind me. Now I might. Now I don't like that. But it was, again, super normal for me. And so that was okay. But I have talked to food allergy adults who were like, it really prevented me from being able to learn.
Or
like,
just concentrate on what people are talking about. Cause you're like, well, there's a loaded gun next to me, or like the bomb's about to go off, you know?
Or like hearing the rapper and being like, what is that? That's something I do now. Like I hear a rapper in the, you know, like on the shuttle bus to the airport parking lot. And I'm like, what is that? And it's like gummy bears. It better not be Planters peanuts. So but I can understand how, I mean, that would be really distracting for me now. Then it wasn't. And I could have easily had a conversation with the professor. Like, oh my gosh, here's just like, forget allergies. Professors will love you if you go to their office hours. Like people go the first couple weeks and then they never go again. It's kind of like New Year's resolutions. Like everybody goes to the gym the first 2 weeks of January and then it's like, goodbye. They're just sitting in there twiddling their thumbs a lot of the time. So going in there and like having this very, like they're going to know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
They're probably like, if you've gone the disability office route, like they're probably going to be in communication with them too. But then that really will give you a good, I mean, you're in a lecture hall of 400 people and it's taught by the chair of the whole school as a freshman. Like now you have somebody who knows exactly who you are. And like, then make it, I would like put in my calendar, like, okay, see them the first week of school, like go see them the third week, go see them the 6th week. And like by the end of the semester, like I really did have somebody who wanted to look out for me for the rest of college. Yeah. So this is like such a good mindset shift is like, okay, you have to have this conversation become for me, like the peanut girl, but that's a great like foray into this person. It's this adult who has a lot of power within my school. Yeah. Like knowing who I am and like, I'm not like one of the 5 brunettes who came in the first week of school. I'm like, oh, that's Danielle. She has the nut allergy. And she also is like really interested in 18th century female authors, like using it as like touch point. We took care of business. Now they know exactly who I am and I'm going to use this as a superpower. Yeah. That's great. Final thing I'll say is sorority rush. I alluded to this. She is a friend of mine and she's a listener too. But I remember when she came through rush and she actually ended up becoming a theta like me. Her mom contacted like the rush, the Panhellenic, and just said like, I know that they serve drinks and snacks at all of these parties. Like you go to like a bazillion parties and then it whittles down and there's always snacks everywhere. And I remember like when she came through rush, we had to make sure there were none of her allergens and things that we would serve her or like before she would come through the house. And I remember one of my roommate being like, we didn't do that for you. And I was like, I didn't know it was an option. But like, for nuts is probably not going to be as common. And I just didn't eat at the social. Right. I was talking and obviously I'm good at talking. I was talking a million miles an hour. I didn't have time to like, ooh, what's in this tea sandwich? Right. So yeah, like I packed all my snacks for rush. I washed my hands after touching somebody if I felt like I was getting itchy, and it just like wasn't a big deal. But like even in that sort of scenario where you're having thousands of girls and it's like straight out of a movie, there were accommodations made and she was safe and she had the time of her life and like joined the same sorority I did. And
it's
now,
possible.
Yeah. And now we're still connected. Like, she texts me when she's doing an oral food challenge and like she has such a cool job. It's just so fun being connected in that like funny little way all these years later. Yeah. But yeah, I know of people who didn't have an amazing experience with their college, didn't have an amazing experience with their roommate. And some people moved colleges. Some people like had a scary experience with the roommate, like being disrespectful or not being receptive, or like me now, I would never go to a cafeteria because the whole 3 days after Asian night, probably 3 weeks if we're being honest, I'm gonna hyperfixate and be like, did they did they use the same fryer? Like what if the ingredients have changed since the last time? Like I can't imagine eating in like a chaotic cafeteria like that now. I probably would have asked as a freshman, you can only live in like the dorm housing. I'd be like, okay, well, you need to accommodate for me to have one of the sophomore apartments on campus where I can have a kitchen and make food for myself.
Yeah.
And like, you can make it happen. You can.
Yeah.
College does not have to be anything, any less sparkly, colorful, magical. Just like, it was the best 4 years of my life. I never had one incident.
Yeah.
I kissed a lot of boys. And by boys, I mean frogs. I kissed a lot of boys. I went to a lot of parties. I ate at a lot of cafeterias. I tried all new restaurants. I was states and states away from my parents and in a place I literally did not know one soul. So it's all doable. And if you start now, it doesn't have to be this like crazy change.
Yeah. I think all of that was super helpful. And the things for me that I think are going to stick with me the most is, you know, making sure that my kid, yes, like starting now, we're already doing it, but like even more so making sure that they are able to advocate for themselves and feel kind of increase their confidence in that as they get older and older and before they go away. And then also continually at the same time trying to reduce their anxiety. Because I think while we should advocate and we should do what we need to do to get the accommodations for ourselves in a public setting, you know, we also have to understand that the world is not going to revolve around our allergy kids. And so, you know, we also don't want to make unnecessary accommodations for them that are going to
make them bubble kids.
Yeah, make them bubble kids or make people see them in a different light. And again, that's just the world, right? Like you hate that would ever be the case. But at the same time, you know, again, we've talked about it in the past. If Graham is able to go to the supermarket or able to go to a birthday party or able to go to school right now as a kid and he's not coming home every day in an ambulance or we're rushing to the ER all the time. Like if he's able to make it work, then he should be able to make it work at college too. And now again, everybody is different, right? There are different levels of like reactivity. There are different levels of, you know, a number of allergens you have, things like that. Everybody is very, very different. But all of this to say, like, don't be afraid to ask for accommodations that you really need, but also make sure that your kid isn't at a point where they are just so highly anxious that they can't enjoy themselves and have a good time, that they know how to take those calculated risks, that they know how to live and have a fun experience while also maintaining a level of safety that's going to keep them protected in school. And so, yeah, I think that combo of increasing their confidence and reducing the anxiety will hopefully lead to a very successful college career.
Honestly, like that made me think of something that when I was prepping for this episode, I was like, I think I need to do that for myself because a lot of, and that meaning something that my allergist offered where he was like, oh, you used to always like be comfortable in the same room with things and now you're not. Like we can like make that a challenge. Like you can come in the office and I can open a jar of peanut butter and like, or eat a peanut butter snack in the room while I like do your consultation and you're in a safe place and we can see like, this is for me specifically, not medical advice for anybody else. For me specifically, he was like, I'm not concerned with somebody eating peanut M&Ms next to you.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Or even really touching you probably.
Yeah. I mean, I may get a hive, but like, I'm not
for anaphylaxis.
It is not yes. And so I was like, I used to be okay with that and now I'm not. And he was like, well, we can test it out and we can like get back there. So like whether it's like you need to do that in a doctor's office with your doctor's blessing maybe, or maybe it's like with your family after you've talked to your provider, but that's something that because I didn't grow up in today's allergy culture, I wasn't a bubble kid and it wasn't a big deal, but I can see how somebody who grew up at an allergy table, never ate lunch in the general cafeteria, somebody who never went away to summer camp, somebody whose family didn't fly because they were worried about the air, like all of those things were normal for me and now they're less normal. And I'm like, if I were a parent and I had this kid who I was like, wow, I have been their biggest advocate, cheerleader, protector. And now they're 16 and it's a big gap to get them to 18 going away to college. Let me start working on some of those things now so that they're sitting in the lecture hall and they actually don't need to walk out.
Right.
They can be like, this is so annoying that like I have to concentrate on a wrapper and like maybe move over a few seats, but like they don't have to have the fear of God and run out of there because they have, and I genuinely need to do this with my doctor. They have done whatever it is that their provider has suggested to do to see like what is safe and necessary for you to be safe and what is bubble wrap that is not serving you and is not necessary for your safety. One more thing that I forgot to mention, I promise this is the last thing. I lived in the sorority house. A lot of people are like, how did you do that? Drunk girls drinking, drunk girls coming home and eating out of like the community leftovers and like getting PB&J and making toast and taking it up to their rooms upstairs and there being peanut butter on the banister. Like all of those things happened. Didn't faze me. Like they were just things that I managed. Like, oh shoot, did I just touch, I think that's peanut butter. I'm gonna wash my hands. Then I'm gonna go tell the house mom, like there's peanut butter on the stairwell and I have an allergy, and she's going to clean the heck out of it and get like the full staff in on that. It just wasn't a big deal. We made it work. The chef knew, actually I felt a lot better living in the house than having like the meal plan with all the cafeterias because it was like one chef and he would like sometimes have to like make mine separate and set it down for me. And sometimes he's like, you're good to go through the line. Like you're good. So you can do it.
You can do it.
Happy colleging.
Yay.
What's that like? You have the right to party.
Yes. Go have fun. Live your life.
Safely.
Yes. All right. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.